Hello. I'm sure many of you have heard that saying that self is an illusion or the illusion of self. I'm going to explain that through the word because, like many people have said, and like I've said many times, God is the word. Now, before I go into bringing in the blackboard and going through the different words for self, I'm only doing four because there's all kinds of different ones, and I'll get to those when I get to the board. But God being the word, when I say that the English language is the most symmetric because it's lines and arcs, it's all simple shapes. And those simple shapes can then be translated back into some of the original languages and dialects, just like any human being has to learn how to roll around and then sit up and then crawl and then walk and then run and then sprint and then do all kinds of acrobatics if they want to. So, in that same way, humanity has not only grown up physically, we've grown up through our languages and we've evolved through our speaking ability. And now some of us are trying to expand consciously and have a spiritual awareness that is above and beyond what we've had before, basically evolving our spiritual understanding and our consciousness. So we're still in that from walking to running phase with a lot of people because a lot of people are just living in survival mode. But that's because their self is so stuck on who they think they are. Now, like I've said, God is the word, and dialect, the way we speak, the word dialect, dia, so I'm not going to use D as in dia, I'll say direction. The director, identifying, active, as it lie, or ling, expressing, and notice that EL being one of the God names is turned around with LE. So we have dia, not Dio or Deus, another God name. The word is dialect. So we have the words that we speak through are dia or direction, identified, active, as it lies, expressing, constant to itself, plus a dialect. The way we speak through our ling expressed constant to itself plus our dialect. So when we get into explaining a lot of this stuff goes all the way back to things like Joseph and Mary didn't have sex. Jesus was born through immaculate conception. How is that possible? Wow, like if you give it human bodies and think that way, you go, that just, wow, it's divine by God. And at the same time, it is in a super cosmic spectrum. And then in the real world, you'll see what I mean if you just go within. I'm not going to go into that stuff now. But being Joseph and Mary, that yourself, male action, from the sun shining out into Mary, the sky is what Mary is. And Jesus, the baby, is in Mary's lap sleeping on Christmas because that's when the sun goes down in the lap of the sky, which is living energy because the sun and the sky create living energy, which is the sun and the sky mixed together, light and air, and that's us, human. So that being said, that's one dialect. Now in other dialects, you have Hari, Krishna, and Krishna's with a K, Hari's with an H. If you were Hari instead of Mary, in our language, we would say marine, because now we're manifested, active reference, identified, notion, expressing. That's marine, that's water. That's where the mineral memory is saved in the water, and the water memory is saved in the air. So in back and forth between the minerals in the air and water, the air and water save each other's memory too. But mineral memory doesn't need them exclusively. Mineral memory can be used in mineral form, like rocks and different kinds of precious metals. And we'll get into that stuff on a different day if anybody wants to know about it. So with all this extra stuff that gets people sidetracked, stuck on their individual self, I want to show you that we are all God in form through our names, through the dialect, and through the places we are. And the words self, I'll bring in the blackboard here in a second, but I wanted to finish what I was saying about Maya being the illusion, but as in manifested, active, vital identified action. So we're manifesting the activation of what? Vital identity of what? Action. So action is just something happening here. It's the illusion. See, Maya. Now we have the Mayans, who were the people who predicted what was going to happen here in this illusion. It's the notion at the end of the word Maya. So how is the solution going to come to an end? The Mayans predicted it. 2012. It was supposed to be what? 12/21/2012. See how that's a mathematic thing? And I've been telling you, this is all math. It's the same story. And letters and words are interchangeable, especially when you understand your own language. And I do. So God being the Word and me learning this from a place that no human being sat down and taught me this. One night, I was just a normal everyday guy who got drunk and chased after tail. And then life had pushed me to the brink, and I screamed and asked God, what the hell am I here for? If I don't get told what I'm here for, I don't want to be here. Just take me. I don't want this anymore. I don't know what I'm here for. And all of a sudden, I knew all this stuff and started explaining it to people. And if they check me, which I encourage you to check, because if you don't say or don't think that what I'm saying is the truth, you can check it once, check it twice, check it 3 times, check it and check it and check it, and see where there's a flaw. And if you don't understand it and you think I'm wrong, then at least ask me a question and I can clarify it. Because I just tried to put out the bare minimum because I don't want to get stuck on so many different details. You know how many billions of different stories we could all get stuck on? When we have to get focused, the point is not to get so distracted. So now I'm going to bring in the board and we're going to do the 4 selves that I have. Of course, there's himself and herself, but we know that him is a here identified manifestation. And her is the here expressed reference, one that can express a reference. See how her means a woman and him means a man? Just like he and she, because she subjects here expressions and he's just a here expression. Not just, but you know what I'm saying. So now I'll bring in the blackboard. My apologies if there's the light shining on here. I tried. Shouldn't be too bad. Anyway, like I was saying, there's himself and herself and itself and thyself, and we could go on in all kinds of other ways we use the word self in a compound word. But let's do these main 4 because those are the more usual ones that people say. So just like I said, Maya being the illusion. Now, out of this illusion, if you don't know that you're the universe in form, you just think you're a manifested vital identity, and you would call it my subject God form or expressed ling form or familiar. Myself. In this illusion, your subject is what you express as your ling form, and you say myself. Maya's elf. Maya's elf. Think of it. That's really not what you are, but your name isn't you. It just was the way that you called yourself into being so that you could know what your life was meant to be on what path and what to learn from it. And that's what I'm trying to teach you through words. And if you take it and start looking at the world around you, it'll start making more sense who you are and why you resonate with the things that you resonate with. So ourself, now what is ourself? It could be me and this person talking and saying ourself, or we could be talking to a room full of people and say ourself, because in this illusionary word, everybody here, which is God in all kinds of different forms, or the universe manifest in different forms, we could just take this idea of a circle. Everything's circled here as a unit reference, subjecting expressed ling form or familiar. So we call it ourself because it's the ongoing unit of reference. So it could be me and my little kitty, Mr. Biggles. And I can say, hey, Mr. Biggles, we're just going to do this all by ourselves. Like that. Because it would just be this little circle between me and Mr. Biggles. And then we'd have a room full of people and that circle would expand. Now expand your circle and can completely include everybody as ourself. Okay? Themself. Now the word them could be this one person. I could say, tell them to take care of it themselves. Or you could say themselves with a whole bunch of people because it's the plus here expressed manifestation, subjected, expressed, ling, form or familiar. The plus here expressed manifestation, them, subject, expressing ling form. So themself. See how that changes just a little bit because every word comes from here. But then you can put this out here if you understand that everything is what if you're always in the center, you're centered on everything. Because you care. Like I'm centered on my center, which is my heart space. And my heart space expands to everybody. And That's why I understand this. And that's why God basically chose me, or that's why the higher energies that we may refer to as God or a greater power that is living and is very highly intelligent and highly conscious compared to what other people may think that the creator is, much more than anything we'll ever imagine. But I understand the details of how this universe works, and that's why I'm teaching it to everybody out there who considers themself something other than ourself. So we just did themself. Now, if I was speaking to one specific person other than me, and I vitally identify them, ongoing, underlying reference, subject expressing ling form or familiar, yourself. And what is your? Y-O-R-E is days of yore, old times, times past. Lore is the old stories. Your are the times, the vitally identified ongoing reference of expression. So who are you? Somebody else. You've been made up by other past issues and other past events and other words and other things that you've done. So that's what your past has added you up to. Yours, elf. You're the elf of yore. Now, it's not necessarily what that means, but just take it and understand that we are all living words. Everything here is a living word. So that's it for the illusion of self category. All right, I just moved the board and there was a big crash outside, so I figured I should start over and move the board out of the way. Like I was saying, we finished up the illusion of self category, and just as a final little word, just realize, I know that a lot of the stuff that I'm saying, it'll make sense to you if you take it in little by little. But if you over bombard yourself with it, you're going to be like, these are using words that I know and terminologies that I've heard of, or people, places, and things that I've heard of already before, but they're saying them in a way that makes sense, but changes the things that I thought I knew, although it makes sense. So that would that mean that maybe I didn't know what I thought I knew? And sometimes that happens to be the case. Some of your own details, of course, you know a little bit more about your own personal life than anyone else does. But when it comes to how these patterns work through all of us on a resonation level, that's what I understand. And it's not just through letters and words. It's just that since I'm here talking on a camera without any questions, I'm trying to show and teach people how this is going on every day. We are all manifestations of the universe in form. That'll always be the case. It's not going to change tomorrow. It's not like it just happened. This has always been the case. It's just people didn't know it. People didn't remember. People didn't feel this inside. And most people still don't, of course, or else we wouldn't have a world that's like this. So if we want to see a world that clears up and stops acting this way, we need to remove that illusion of self, individual self, going out and getting what they want for themselves, because this world is so full of opportunity. We can go out and we can take it over and we can manipulate it any way we want because God or Creator wants to see what it can create. That's such an egotistical, personal level way of thinking. People that go like, the universe wants us to create as much as we can so it can expand through us. The universe is ever expanding. It doesn't need people in their little flea-bitten minds to think of things that fascinate other people, that may outdo the animals we're here with. Wow, so great. We can outdo the animals we're here with, and we destroy each other, and we toxify our planet. That's how advanced our civilization has become. Do you think God is impressed by that? The Creator itself that created all of this in a timeless fashion, that knows more than anyone will ever know, and has so much that I've seen it, I've felt it, I know it, but there's things I'll never be able to put into words. I'm so happy for the experience that I have and that I know to be, but trying to put it into words for people who just don't have the mental brain or capacity to hold that in and think it, it's hard, because I want to show people how much I care about them, and I just can't, because they don't receive it. It's like having a sponge that just doesn't suck any water anymore. It's already waterlogged with bad information and all kinds of dead food. So if you keep taking in all the death they're feeding you and all the negative visual things and the news and the horror and all the terror, they're controlling you through fear. And I'm not trying to be the person who brings these negative things to your attention. It's just that they need to be brought up so we can work through them. The way you get through your shadow work is by shining so much light into the darkness, the shadows disappear. I've done that version of shadow work, a lot of it, through lifetimes and lifetimes, and I remember them. And I've gone through and tried to make amends with every person I've wronged in this lifetime, and I can't think of any more. And if I've tried to reach out to them and they didn't respond, I can't do anything about it because I tried, and I meant to resolve the issue. If they don't want to, they're holding on to a grudge, and I can't make them stop. I can't go there and threaten them, let go of the grudge, you know? It's just not the way it works. But anyway, as a final thought, instead of living in this man-made, fear-based world where we have that slogan of every man for himself, why don't we make it every man and woman for the self? That's where I'm at. I'm trying to do everything I can for the self, for all of us, together as one. That's it. No country, no separate stuff, just we're all together, all of it. Even if aliens want to come visit us, I welcome them too. But until anything like that happens, let's not spend our time worried about it. If there's any proof of it, and it can be clarified and shown to be true, then by all means, bring it out. Quit hiding. If we have all these advanced civilizations out there, let me mention this. If we have all these advanced civilizations out there, what are they afraid of showing themselves for? Because us and our measly little nuclear weapons are going to do something to them? These beings who can travel through space and time, they're going to come here and worry about what we're going to do to them? No. The only reason that they wouldn't attack us is because they have a kindness. It's not like they're afraid of us. Human beings are not as powerful as we think we are. Like I said, we just impress ourselves for what we can do. Look at me. I can jump my bike over a hole. Wow, that's cool. You could have killed yourself, but it was a rush. That's impressive. Look what we can do. We're stuntmen, and we destroy stuff, and we break stuff. We make a lot of noise and scare nature. But nobody wants to think about what's natural and how unnatural we've become, and we've just embraced it. I understand. But my heart is open to the place that we all go in the end. And that's where I'm at, always. This is God's kingdom to me. And it doesn't make it bad. I see a lot of bad stuff. I speak about a lot of things that are going on, which happen to be negative in our terminology and the way we look at things. But that's because I want to fix them, not because I want to complain. It's got to be talked about so we can get through it. So I'm going to leave it at that. And like I said, if we just stop being every man for himself and make it every man and woman for the one self, this world can become better, and it can happen fast. Now I ask you, share these messages with people. Send me questions. Don't be afraid to talk to me. Like I said, truth can be checked and double checked and checked as many times as you want. And if you don't see that what I'm saying adds up, please help me help you find out where I'm wrong. So that way I can help other people and correct where I made mistakes. But I've tried really hard. Maybe I had a fumble in a word here and there, but I'm trying really hard to make sure that I make it very easily understandable for everyone. For everyone. It sounded like I said everyone. I was going to say everybody, and I said everyone together. See how these little slips of the tongue happen? Things like that make me want to start a whole video over again because I don't want to edit stuff, and I'm not going to. So with that little funk up at the end, it's just the way it is. Things happen. That's natural. So with the self and I, which is all one, I wish you the best. And until next time, peace and God bless.